A boxer's typically going to have his elbows in by his side and underneath of his fist. I don't want you to build an A-frame. Let me real quick demonstrate an A-frame to you. So this is Joe. Joe, kind of face the camera a little bit and get into your ready position. All right, so if his elbow is not directly below his fist, and a lot of guys you'll see them, they kind of build this here. They feel safe hiding behind this, right? There's no safety back here, right? And when you have this, what we call A-frame, there's also no defense. So I can jam him by just hitting his hands right into his own face. And if I need to punch at him, he just turns a little bit right here, good. I can shoot uppercuts under here all day and hooks all day because there's no defense, right? So you want to avoid making an A-frame and put your elbows and thumbs kind of close back up by your cheeks and elbows directly below your fists. Your knees are going to be slightly bent. And for the purpose of what we're going to do framing, there's different schools of how to fight. I'm not here to tell you which one's best for you, but I can tell you for what we're doing with these edge weapons that we're going to be developing and your skill level here, I want you to shift your weight to maybe 55 or 60% of the front leg and then your hands in the same position. And then we'll work from this right into the frame. But our first basic boxing punches, most trainers use numbering systems. And then when they get to the ring, they change them to confuse people. We're not here to confuse you. So if you're right-handed, in general, we want your right side or your strong side to the rear. And we want your weak side up front. This is counterintuitive to old-fashioned karate because the strong side was up front. And we do work ambidextrously, so don't let it bug you.
Hey, it's Jimbo here with your next tip. This one's about home invasion. It used to be that burglars would wait until you were gone before breaking into your home. Not anymore. Home invasions are becoming more common because, frankly, the bad guys actually want you to be home, to get your debit card and PIN number, or to find out exactly where you've hidden your cash, or to get the combination to your safe. Thing is, this is a life and death situation for you and your family. You and your family may not survive it even if you give these goons exactly what they want. In that kind of a scenario, using lethal force to protect yourself and your loved ones is justified. Problem is, what if you're taken by surprise? You may not be able to get to a weapon in time, which is why it's important for you to know how to use your bare hands as lethal weapons. And that's exactly what I've got for you, a series of lethal techniques that can end a deadly threat in seconds using nothing but your bare hands. I've got some U.S. Special Forces to show you their secrets, their extremely ruthless and grisly moves. Pretty shocking stuff, really. I would show them to you right now, but I can't. They're considered to be too violent and deadly for this platform. I've already been warned a couple of times, so showing this on my channel would get me shut down for sure. But you can get them for free just by clicking on the link in the description. Okay, let's move on to our next tip.
Right, so here, he's just going to take his hand, he's going to rotate it over, roll his shoulder up, and what happens here, and he's got, by the way, Joe fights in the UFC as a professional fighter. So pull that back in, let's do it again in slow motion. He has great mechanics. Watch his shoulders. As this punch goes out, see, he aligns all his power in the same direction and without moving, because sometimes things in the street happen so fast, you just fire from your current position. You want to maximize it. By getting this straight line here across his shoulders with a little forward tilt, he's gonna rock your world down here. Plus, his shoulders close enough to his jaw that he's actually cutting off good punches here. A lot of hockey players will do this when they grab their opponent and start beating on each other. They're always protecting the V of the jaw. It's considered one of the knockouts on the body, right? So this is nearly perfect here. And I say nearly because what's perfect for him is not always going to be perfect for me, right? And the reason I say that, we're built different. And so when he pulls his back, he's going to not pull his fist back. Don't do this because your fist is your weapon. So on the way out, it's weapon first, but you're pushing through the elbow, right? On the way back, you're pulling through the elbow so you keep your defense locked in, right? Make sense? Okay, so he punches out and he pulls back. He punches out, and guys, we'll pay attention to this at home. Look in a mirror. It's always good to work in a mirror because we can tell you all day what you're doing right and wrong, but you need to see it for yourself and get a feel that goes with that. So remember, don't pull the weapon back first. Don't do this. A lot of guys do this. Guys, that between that and the A-frame, they're walking around a gym or a ring or a street wondering why they're getting peppered in the head all day because they don't have a defense at all. Listen, I was sitting there training to be a professional referee for world title matches with kickboxing many, many years ago. I had Joe Louis, the former karate guy, world champion, was coaching me and mentoring me. And so we would sit and go watch fights, and we see two guys going at it. And right in the very beginning of the fight, I said, who's going to win the fight? I'd start trying to pick it apart and make my analogies. And he goes, Jim, it's not that difficult. I go, why not? So Joe Louis looks at me and he says, because a fight consists of two things. So what's that, Joe? He says, an offense and a defense, right? The guy to your left has no defense. He's going to lose. And he was right. You know, we overcomplicate things, and here at TRS, I think it's cool that even though we're going to teach you how a real boxer or fighter might throw a punch, because you do have to have decent, if not great, mechanical development and basics. So from the same position, so that we're going to number that jab or that front or lead hand, no matter which side's forward. Change sides for me. Okay, if he changes sides, whatever this lead hand is, it's still the one punch. Change back. So we're going to do the same thing here, but this punch here starts, he's going to throw a right hand. Now remember, he's wearing gloves and he's punching. This can also be a palm heel strike. And palm heel, anytime you take a joint out of a punch, you increase the speed and the power. So, and in fact, if your hand's open, no antagonist is built in, that hand's like a slap, it's going to go quicker, kind of like trying to grab a fly. So the more he takes out of this hard grip, which you don't want, you want a nice relaxed grip, then you get faster and more powerful you're going to be on the end of that punch. So the next thing, he's going to pivot on the ball of this back foot by kicking his heel out this way, pushing his hip straight to his opponent or his bag, and continuing that punch straight out. When he does this, and he's going to close his gap up here, right? So when he does this, it's going to look like one move, but in super slow motion, we're going to do it again. It's going to be heel, hip, shoulder to the right. The biggest drawback and the thing you need to be most careful about, a lot of people when they're learning, when they throw this hand, they try to overpower it and they lean outside their way. Yes, leaning. One of the cardinal rules of fighting is don't lean outside of your hips. There's probably been 2 or 3 fighters historically that can fight off balance. Pernell Whitaker, probably Nate Diaz, he throws some awkward crap, but he's very successful at it. But other than that, you want to keep your head aligned straight to the floor between your hips. You can shift your weight back and forth, right? Like if you're shifting back and forth, that's cool. Shift. It's like doing a little horseshoe in here and just shift your weight, right? But don't lean outside. This is bad. Even, you face me for a second, even on the defensive end, sometimes we try to throw a punch and you see a lot of guys, they won't move their feet, they just lean. If I go like this and he leans to try to counter me, lean backwards without moving your feet, if his feet don't move, I can't reach here because he's wanting to set me up. So I'll just block out that stuff, and as part of that frame, I'm going to the body. So when somebody leans, it locks him on his heels. So if I throw a jab and you lean back, even if he comes back, I've already lit him up, right? Plus the frame that we're going to discuss here is going to take place too. So these are your basic 1-2 punch. So that your lead hand's all forever going to be a 1. That's going to be a 2. So you lead them one at a time, and so you throw a jab without moving first, all right? Shoot the jab. Yeah, good. Very nice jab. And then shoot the right hand. And then when we feel comfortable, he's going to do them, like boom, boom, 1-2. Yeah, and this, you hear 1-2, 1-2 all the time, right? You always got to follow it up and set it up. So things are going on here. So we got 3 more punches we want to look at. It's going to be the lead side hook punch. And it doesn't matter if your hand is like this or like this. Now, relax for a second. If you, some people have shoulder injuries and physical limitations, so it's hard for them to throw this hook punch. The same thing, I pivot on every punch that I throw except for one, and that's the straight jab or one punch off your lead side. But I do drive off the back leg like a sprinter, right? So if I want to palm heel you, I want my weight slightly shifted forward, and I'm going to do a little drive off the back leg. So that means the front leg's moving, bang, into your chin. Guys, you want to hit hard? That's how you hit hard. You see some people, they take a step, boom, and they're punching. Next time you watch a fight on TV or on YouTube, they're throwing that right hand. See how many, no weight on the back foot? That's a bad punch and there's nothing behind it. It's just going to make, I have another rule, right? And that rule is kind of simple. Don't hit anybody hard enough to piss them off, right? If I hit him and piss him off and he goes, well, Jim ain't got no power. He's going to be on me like white on rice because he just lost all respect. Everything has to have sting in it, guys. So this is going to help you get from the mechanical to the psychological stuff just through basic training here, right? Basic training is I got to put some speed and power into everything that I throw. So we got 3 punches. We got the 1, the 2, and the hook punch. The hook punch can be supplemented in the karate industry with what they call a ridge hand, which is very powerful, and a gooseneck, which is the back of your wrist. Now, I've got a real fighter here, and I'm not going to hit him in the head with none of this, but if I take the ridge hand to his arm, okay, if I come out with a punch, it's a punch, right? If I come out with a ridge hand, it's totally different and legal in his industry, and I pivot my body, it's getting a little harder, right? This gooseneck, most people don't use, and it's amazing because you're using the back of the wrist. Which one do you feel the most? So a lot of times when guys attack at me, they'll swing or jump. I just step back and I gooseneck to the side of their head. If you're older and out of shape and your shoulders are injured or anything like that, this gooseneck will take this out of the picture and you just pivot the body. I tend to lean a little, which I said don't do. Anytime I lean, I frame, which means I'll salute to the opposite side of the direction of the lean, right here to my shoulder. And this is a wing that can stop, block, or feather underneath of your opponent's techniques. Also, if I'm doing this and a kick comes underneath or a punch, I can slip downstairs and pass behind them with a pendulum block. So these are things we'll develop as we go, right? But we want to get the basics out, right? The basic mechanics. So we got a 1, 2, and a 3. A right hand, front punch, which is a jab, straight right, and then a hook, right? And then we got 2 uppercuts, front uppercut and back uppercut. So we're going to do the back first. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So he's going to do the front uppercut he's not going to reach down to throw it because in theory, you never want your hands more than about 4 inches away from your face. 2 to 4 inches. Once they start getting further out, you get weak and it takes longer to recover and you start finding yourself reacting to the guy instead of being and losing control of the fight, right? So everything's in here, it stays tight all the time. If you get tired, make a little space, roll your shoulders, shake out the lactic acid, and then re-engage as quick as you can. If I'm so tired I can't pull my arms back straight, then when I pull them back, I'll dip. So I don't want this dip in my hand. So I'll just dip. I'll keep it up here by my head. That's what you got to do, right? So the uppercuts, he's going to squat down and push up, right? So he's not going to, and he's only going to come up to about, the top of his head, a little higher maybe. Now, when you're doing an uppercut in our world, you can go from the punch as an uppercut straight to the elbow. So you can go uppercut, hand and elbow. So it goes like this. The whole thing rakes. Now, these are in-close techniques, right? And then the back uppercut. Same thing, only you pivot off the back leg and shoot that hip. So relax. All right, so it's interesting if you talk to people about fighting, if you ask them where the power comes from, we talk about pivoting his feet. They'll tell you 1,000 different ways to get your power. Now, speed's important to power for sure, no doubt. But your power comes out of your ankles. This is constant movement. As we evolved, I think at one point in time, if you believe in evolution, we might have been a little monkey, then we might have been an ape, then some sort of Neanderthal. I believe Sasquatch is still out in Washington State, somewhere in the redwoods. So if you remember and watch those old movies, how an ape or a monkey works, when they walk, when their left foot moves, their left hand moves. All right? And then we got smart. We got more upright. So how do you walk? When your left foot moves, which hand moves? Yeah, just like that. Left foot, right hand. Now we're special. But we lose power like that. So you got to go back to our roots, if you believe in evolution, for power. If I want to shoot a left hook, I got to drop my weight over here. Pow, and carry it back to the other side. If I want to shoot a right hand, bang, I got to push off the right leg. So there's a little simple exercise where you kind of jump around a little bit, and I call it a monkey drill. So your foot and your hand are just kind of landing like that. So if I can do this and then I can get into hitting him, I'm going to hit him a lot harder than if I'm off balance, right? And you'll hear a lot of theory about maximizing your punches. The way you do that, even if we're inside and all confused, I'm pushing him around, I'm hitting. When he sets in a certain point, everything's aligned. He's not going to put his weight on this foot and throw that hook. Everything, I can see it dropped over here, and he's going to break my ribs. Bang, and he's going to break my head. Bang, right? So, and he's shooting all off the same side. Like I said, there's only one technique you don't do that with, and that's the lead hand jab or palm heel strike or elbow. That power comes off the opposite leg. That's the only human technique, right? Boom. Everything beyond that is more back into the animal kingdom. And so you have to learn how to shake your weight from side to side. Kind of walk like a monkey every now and then, or even run like one. You'll get tired quicker until you get used to it, right?
Hey, it's Jimbo here with another tip. Most guys don't consider a fight to be a life and death situation. That's a big mistake. A fight, any fight, can quickly turn deadly, which is why you need some ugly tricks up your sleeve. That's exactly what I've got for you, a series of lethal fight enders that can end a fight in seconds using nothing more than your bare hands. I can't show them to you here on this platform because they're considered to be too violent and too deadly, but you can get them for free by clicking on the link in the description. Okay, on to our next tip.
Thanks for watching our video lessons here at TRS Direct. Hit the like button down below and consider subscribing to our channel here on YouTube. Hit the bell icon and we'll send you a notification when there's a new lesson available. Thanks again for watching.